Am I the asshole for refusing to split my inheritance with my siblings? I'll try to summarize as much as possible. I, 19, have an estranged grandpa more or less. He's my dad's father, but my dad hardly had a relationship with him. I have two other siblings, one younger, 13, and one older, 26. My grandma divorced my grandpa when my dad was only 10, so he lived with my grandma his whole life in a different state and didn't see him. When he got older, he saw him a little more, and my grandpa started coming around a little bit more as well. He'd stay for a week at a time and then go home. He was an old bitter man, to be honest. He never got remarried and lived his whole life in his coastal town with the same friends he'd had his whole life. He wasn't pleasant to be around and could hold grudges longer than anyone I've ever met. But regardless of this, he was filthy rich. He owned a successful business that he sold for $1 million. He retired after selling, but his house sits on an island as well as the biggest piece of land on the island. So, it sold for well over $3 million. I was never close with my grandpa, but I took after his sister who is an RN, and he adores her. He always told me that he was proud to see me follow in her footsteps. He died a few months ago. Since then, my family has been torn apart. He left everything to me. He essentially liquidated all of his assets, and it ended up being close to $8 million. I was shocked. I didn't and still don't know what to do with the money, but I'm going to save it. My dad and stepmom as well as my siblings are hounding me to split the money with them. I just can't do it. My dad is an alcoholic who never said anything nice about his dad. Despite him being bitter, my grandpa actually bought my dad a $300,000 house. My dad would 100% drink away any money given to him. As far as my siblings, my brother has full financial support from my grandma as he is the favorite and he's very wasteful and ungrateful. He never talks to me and always is very mean to me when he does. My little sister is the only person I've actually considered. She's very young and that's really the only thing stopping me. Her mom is money-oriented and would take the money from her. So, I'm waiting until she turns 18 and I offered to pay for her college. But now my family is telling me I'm unfair and the money doesn't belong to me and I'm not deserving of it. That I'm too young and I'll waste it on cars and clothes. I don't agree and now they're all threatening to cut me off and never speak to me or even sue me if I don't give them all a chunk of the money. I don't know what to do and I'm buckling under pressure here. I've already had 2 police officers out to my house because my dad is claiming I stole the money from him. Everything was through an attorney. I know I did nothing wrong legally. But morally? I don't know. So am I the asshole? Update. First off, thank you to everyone for the advice, links, etc. It was greatly appreciated. It's been almost a month since my post, so I figured I'd try to update and clarify a few things. 1. My family and I have tried reaching out to my father to get him help, he's declined. Giving him money, or even bribing him with money to get help, wouldn't work like some of you suggested. It's already been tested literally, not even 3 months ago. 2. My brother is fully supported by my grandparents despite being almost 30, and they have never done anything close to that for me. Therefore, I didn't feel it was necessary to give my brother anything as he had a very bad relationship with my grandpa and only came around when he died. 3. My mother wasn't included in the story because I didn't think it was necessary. She has worked 3 jobs her whole life to support my brother and I because my dad was negligent and threatened her, so she never got child support. She's always supported us and provided for us, even though my dad has always made double the amount she has. 4. I didn't ask for his money. I didn't have any previous knowledge I was even in the will. I was upset when he passed because we had always been a bit closer than him and the rest of my siblings' family. 5. My grandfather bought my dad a very nice house. He didn't have to, but he did. My dad never said thank you. He doesn't keep it clean and doesn't take care of it. Simply, he doesn't deserve the money after everything that's even done for him. With all of that being said, here's what I've chosen to do. I set up an account for my little sister with enough money for a 4 to 6 year degree, a car, and a down payment on a house. I donated a sum of it to charities, bought myself a new car, and put the rest of it away into CDs that I can't touch for another 4 years unless I pay fees to withdraw the money. I plan to renew these accounts every few years or until I absolutely need it. Again, thank you to everyone. I was scared, lost, and overwhelmed. I couldn't have done this without all the support and advice I was given. Am I the a-hole for threatening to ban my brother from my wedding because he plans on proposing to his girlfriend during the reception? I, 25 male, am getting married in December. My fiancée, 24 female, and I both are very excited and busy planning, and this incident is making things much more stressful. A couple weeks ago I was talking about the wedding with my brother, 30 male, and he asked if it'd be okay for him to propose to his girlfriend at our wedding. I laughed and said yeah, sure, if you want to get your ass handed to you by my fiancée. He laughed, and I figured he got the message. The other day my fiancée came to me, in tears, saying that my brother had called her and thanked her for letting him propose at the wedding. She told him that it never happened and he wasn't allowed to do that and he just laughed and thanked her again. I called my brother back and asked him what was going on. He's insisting that he's going to propose to his girlfriend at the wedding. He claims it's getting even for when I announced our engagement at the same family dinner. He brought his girlfriend to meet the family. I had no idea, they arrived separately and she got there after I had made the announcement. I told him, if he doesn't get it through his head, that he is absolutely not allowed to propose, both him and his girlfriend won't be allowed into the wedding at all, and if he tries to pull a stunt, he'll be kicked out immediately. He didn't take it well and told the whole family. My fiancé and I have been getting calls and messages from them telling us how crappy we are for doing that, how dare I turn my back on my brother. He's also now blaming me for spoiling the proposal to his girlfriend and the family, because if I hadn't been such an ass, he wouldn't have had to break the news to the family like this. I still stand by what I did, I don't think I was out of line at all, but my fiancé thinks we should have just let him propose to avoid conflict. I know it means a lot to her, that everyone gets along and that there's no hard feelings, especially since she's feeling stressed as is, but I don't want to give in to my brother. Am I the a-hole? Edit, thanks for all the responses. I didn't expect this to get this many comments. To address something, well I understand the intent behind the suggestions, my fiancé and I will not be telling my brother that we'll announce a pregnancy at his wedding in retaliation. We are unable to conceive, and this is a sore subject to us. Update. Firstly, thank you all so much for the crazy response on my original post. Totally unexpected, but very much appreciated by my fiancé and me. As I mentioned a couple times in the comments of my original post, my fiancé and I wrote up a Facebook post to explain the situation to our families, mostly mine, including screenshots of texts with my brother. I decided I didn't want to link the post here as it feels a little too personal to be slapping on Reddit. Sorry. As expected, once the family heard our side of the story and put everything together, many of them changed their tune. Most of the family members who had been calling me an asshole ended up apologizing and siding with me and my fiancé. My brother was livid. He called me about an hour after the post went up and demanded that I take it down because it made him look bad. He said he was being unfairly attacked and even blamed me for his girlfriend breaking up with him. My brother has formally been banned from the entire wedding, and we've asked any family members who continue to side with him to RSVP that they will not be attending. Our parents aren't happy with the turnout, and my mother has decided she won't be attending my wedding because of how I'm alienating my brother during an important event. I don't mind. I've never been very close with her, and while it is a bit sad that she's choosing my hard-headed brother over my wedding, I still have my father's full support. My brother's, now ex-girlfriend is still invited and got promoted to bridesmaid because of how helpful and supportive she's been to my fiancé. Hopefully this is the last issue we'll run into during wedding planning. I hope this update lives up to any expectations. I never expected I'd be in this situation, but I'm glad so many people on this sub got a kick out of it and very grateful for the advice and support I received. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister to stop using the word family on me like it's supposed to mean something? As stated in a prior post, I was kicked out at 15 for being gay. From 15 to 35 I had no contact with my family. Over the years they have somehow managed to work their way back into my life. Only in a small capacity. My sister who is younger than me called earlier and asked what me and my husband were doing for Thanksgiving. I told her that it was just us and that we were just going to have a nice dinner and probably watch TV for the night. And go to bed early. She told me that she was having dinner and that we need to show up. I told her thank you, but this was the first set of holidays in 10 years that I didn't have to host and I was planning on staying home and just putting on a fresh pair of pajamas after a shower and not going anywhere. She then asked about Christmas and I told her the same thing. She then asked when it would be a good time to get together. I told her point blank that I wasn't all that interested given our history and that I was perfectly happy with how things were at this point. This was when she got pissed off and started to yell at me saying that I need to start acting more a part of the family and that I need to let go of the past. She told me that we as family need to try and bridge the gap and move forward in a positive way. I told her no we don't. We hardly know each other. We are very much strangers. I also told her she needs to stop throwing the word family around like it is supposed to mean something to me. When we started to talk again, when I was 35, when our dad died her, and my brother constantly berated me and told me that I need to just let them deal with everything that needed to be done. I never disagreed with them. I told them that they could handle it. I was berated when our mother was sick for not visiting her in the hospital or when she was home. I really don't have much of a relationship with my mom and she is a pretty good stranger as well, so it didn't really matter. I threw everything back in her face. Before we hung up, she reminded me that it wasn't my husband's blood that runs through my body. And blood is thicker than water. I told her no. My husband's blood did not in fact run through my body. But his semen did, and that was close enough. I thought my husband was going to wet his pants. So am I the a-hole for telling my sister to stop using the word family like it means something? Edit. Good morning everyone. I hope that you are all having a great day. First, I wanted to say thank you for all the responses, awards and everything else in between. This has been completely insane. I never thought this would go so far. I have tried to read every single response, but there are so many that it will take hours to get through them all. I wanted to do this edit to fill in some blanks so to speak. When I was kicked out, I was 15 and my sister was 8. So, she did not have anything to do with what happened. But she had every opportunity to find me after a certain point. When she was 16 and had her own car, she could have come find me. When she was 18 and on her own, she could have come to find me. She never did. When our dad died it was a friend of mine who talked me into going so that I could maybe find some kind of peace with what happened all those years ago. She and another friend went with. My husband, boyfriend at the time, had to work and couldn't get the time off. Initially I was greeted with surprise and thank you for coming. But then with hostility from my sister and brother. If they for a minute thought I was out to get something from them or our dad's estate, they were wrong. I wanted nothing. And to this day I still don't. My siblings have always told me what my place in the family is. Which is basically I'm window dressing. I have been told that I have no business in knowing anything about the family finances, family affairs or anything. I think that they are afraid that I could potentially take something that they want or are supposed to get. A couple of weeks ago my mom asked me to read over some financial paperwork that she didn't understand. Reluctantly I agreed, but once my sister found out she screamed at me for putting my nose into areas that I don't belong. I told my mom not to ask me for anything again because I will not be involved. I have been asked a few times why I do keep in contact with them. The answer is because it's my way of keeping ahead of them. I do not voluntarily make contact with them. I have no reason to. I keep my Facebook locked down to the point that I don't show my city, my job, my phone number nothing. But I can see all of their stuff. This works because they post a lot and if I see that they are having problems with whatever the case may be then I can work to make sure that if they ask for something I cannot answer or just ignore them altogether. Plus, it does give an open avenue for communication in the event of a major emergency. Plus, maybe I still hold on to a hope that they will maybe at some time they will actually apologize. But I don't see that ever being the case. I have been asked if my mom has ever apologized. No, she has not. And she never will. She is from a generation where parents don't apologize to their kids. Because that would mean they did something wrong. She is from a generation where kids were to be seen and not heard. I guess it comes down to this. My family has formed this dynamic that I will never be a part of or want to be a part of. And I'm okay with that. I was not asked to come to Thanksgiving or Christmas. I was told that I will be there. Why? I don't know. Then when I declined twice things got ugly. Thank you all for all your replies and support. Update. We had such a great day. Just C and we had steaks on the grill, baked potatoes, steamed veggies and a from-scratch pumpkin cheesecake. Tuesday and Wednesday my mom and sister were tag-teaming my messenger all day and until I reached my limit and finally answered my sister. She told me when they were planning on eating and that I needed to arrive earlier. I told her point blank that I was not coming to dinner. Out of my own curiosity I felt like something was wrong and I asked her why it was so important for me to come. They have been telling some family members that I was going to be at dinner and that everything was okay and I was part of the family again. This is important because many people from both my mom and dad's family have had nothing to do with me but never completely approved of what my parents did to me. This was my breaking point. This put me over the edge, and I told them I was not going to cover for them and that this was the end of all of it. It was their fault for creating this issue, and they will need to deal with it on their own. I told her I was done and that to never contact me again. I ended the call and immediately blocked all communication. The level of anger that I have towards them is to a point I can't even describe it. But at the same time, I feel relief that they gave me a reason to terminate all communication with them. They are completely on their own. True to form. On Thanksgiving Day C and I took showers and put on clean pajamas and watched movies all day and then ate dinner. And then back in front of the TV. Before I end this, I wanted to thank all of you for your support and encouragement and kind words. Here's to a great holiday season. Am I the a-hole if I don't want to share my wedding necklace? Some details have been changed for privacy. Hi all, long-time lurker, first-time poster here. Some background first. I, 37 female, have been married to my husband H, 36 male, for nearly 2 years now. We live in Canada, he's Canadian and I moved here 3 years ago. Prior to that I was born and brought up in India. Neither of us is very religious or traditional, and I'm openly deist. Both our families are somewhat religious, but not very devout. They had a few reservations about us but so far, it's all been great. For our wedding, we had small wedding ceremonies in both cultures and a party afterwards. And my husband's family quite enjoyed participating in all the pre-wedding functions for the Indian part. On to the problem. As part of the Indian wedding, my husband had to place a Mangal Sutra around my neck. A Mangal Sutra is a gold necklace with black beads, and in our culture it's equivalent to a wedding ring, but only for the women. I don't like them, because they're sexist, and because they're chunky, ugly and don't go with anything. I told my mother not to get me this and not to include it in the ceremony because it's an expensive waste. I won't wear it and it's like a white elephant, I can't give it away or sell it. I have to keep it. My mother being the smart cookie that she is, worked with my cousin to have one with a modern design, custom made for me. It's stylish, minimalist and goes with almost everything and I love it. I still don't wear it all the time, but quite frequently. As a contrast I wear my wedding ring all the time. Because my husband wears one too and because I like wearing rings. The problem I'm having is with H's sister E and I get along quite well and I'm quite keen on fostering a good relationship with my in-laws because all my family is back in India. E loved the design of my Mangal Sutra and wants to borrow it. Now, I'm not religious at all, but no one can shed the influence of their culture completely and it's the same for me. For me the Mangal Sutra is a symbol of my matrimony and not something that can just be lent out, especially not to my husband's sister. I've offered to have something similar made for her, but she says she doesn't want us to go through the trouble or the expense for something she only wants to wear once or twice. Why I think I the a-hole is that I can see her point. I am a logical person and logically I have no reason to refuse. And I can't just pick and choose the things I want to be logical about. But emotionally, for me, the necklace is like underwear. You may or may not wear it, but you don't share it. FTR I'd have the same feelings about it if it were of the traditional design and I didn't like it as much as I do. I've tried to explain this to her. It's not something we've fought about and she always accepts a refusal graciously, but she doesn't stop asking. It's like she thinks after a reasonable time passes it'll be okay for her to borrow it. So Reddit am I the a-hole? Update. So, my first post here a few days back received a huge response and I'm deeply thankful to everyone who responded. I had to wait a few days to post an update, as per the rules, so here goes. A few hours after the post went up, I got a call from my other sil C. She came across my post and guessed it was me because I gave away too many details I guess and just called me to ask straight out. And several details I didn't know came to light. 1. During the wedding planning stages I had complained to E and C about not liking Mangal Sutras and not wanting one for myself and that I didn't know how to explain that to my mom. They didn't understand that even though I didn't like them as a concept, if I had one, it would still be culturally important to me. 2. I was laughing when I made the wedding ring analogy. They thought I was joking. 3. All three of us have borrowed lent items to one another before, so really asking for something a second third or how many ever times had never been an issue. That combined with what they knew about my personal beliefs genuinely made them think that I would be okay with lending it out after an appropriate amount of time had passed, which is why we kept asking. C realized a problem after reading both the post and mine and everyone's comments. Another commenter mentioned to me privately in DMs that he actually probably really wanted one for her own but was too polite to accept when I offered to have one made for her. This turned out to be true. C told me he really loved the design of the necklace but was too shy to say yes when I offered to get her one. So, we have made a plan. It's too late to get it for her for Christmas, but she has a landmark birthday coming up. We've reached out to the person who made mine and are getting one custom made for her. We'll change the design a bit to make it look like not a Angel Sutra and incorporate some elements that she likes and gift it to her for her birthday. Thank you so much to everyone who commented for your advice, kind words and support, and I'm happy to report a very happy ending.